And I would ask you this morning, do you know that you need a mediator between you and God? Or is your version of God a God that doesn't have wrath, a God that doesn't have anger, and a God with no judgment? And I would just challenge you, if that is your God, if you're in here and that's, the God that doesn't take sin serious, if that's your God, I would just nudge you a little and say, well, you might be close, because he is a God of grace and a God of love and forgiving. His mercy is more. We sing about it. It's beautiful, but he's a consuming fire. I was thinking, Amy and I were having a discussion yesterday, and the girls are at that point where they're driving now, and they're also at that point where boys are forever around. It's like we got a magnet on the house, and just boys come to the house. I don't quite understand it. You guys that are further down the road than me, you can give me some tips. We were talking about them driving. Gosh, I wasn't going to share this because it could be taken wrong, but I will. But I'm going to go for it. So I'm doing the sermon yesterday and kind of working on it, and Amy's cleaning out the garage, and she comes and she finds this little mini crowbar, and she's holding actually two of them up, and I'm like, why are you handing that? I thought they were railroad spikes actually at first, but I'm like, what are you doing with those? And all she just said, for the girls in the car. That's all she had to say. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And we'll teach them how to use it. But if you think about that, it's a funny little story to illustrate that love requires wrath. If you have children, and if mom or dad, and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever, my kids, if they get into a mess and they get hurt, oh, that's fine. No, you want to worship a God who has wrath and judgment. Otherwise, if you've taken that out of your picture of God, he's going to be tough to worship. It's going to be tough to worship a God that you might be stronger than, and you might have more judgment and wrath. God is a God of mercy and love, but he's a God of judgment and wrath. And these two perfectly come together on the cross. God's mercy on the cross and his judgment. But his judgment fell on Jesus. It fell on Jesus. Your soul longs for a mediator. You need a sacrifice.